If you were at an altitude of 40 kilometers above the airport town of Bhuntar in the Kullu Valley and were looking east, this is what you would see from an altitude 5 times that of Everest. The entire valley of the Parvati River, the biggest of the tributaries of the Beas, the main river of the Kullu Valley. In the far distance, from where the sun rises, can be seen the march of the great western Himalayas. At the head of the Parvati Valley lies the Pin Parvati Pass into Spiti's Pin River Valley. On the left is a maze of mighty mountains as the Himalayas skirt the watershed of the Parvati. Chota Shigri, White Sail, the Sara Unga Pass, and further right, terminating in a jumble of glaciers at the headwaters of the Parvati, Tiger Tooth, Snow Dome, Rubalkang, Kullu Makalu, Shigri Parvat, and Parvati Peak itself.
This, then, is the imposing gateway to the Parvati Valley. Forested slopes ending in near vertical cliffs and overhangs, atop which stand rows of giant deodar trees with their profiles cutting into the blue sky at 3,000 meters and more.
The high range that separates the Parvati from the Hamta Nala breaks into mighty spurs and famous peaks like the Deotibba and Indrasan. Below this vast arena of mighty mountains is the Parvati Valley. The stream emerging from the Pin Parvati Pass is joined by the Tos Nala that emerges from the Sara Umga glacier systems. Further downstream, the Parvati is joined by torrents tumbling down from both sides of the valley, and then past Pulga and Manikaran, it is joined by the Malala stream. Beyond Pulga, the Parvati Valley ascends southeastwards, meeting up with the Dibi Bokri Nala that rises from the icy slopes of the Kullu Makalu and Rubalkang. This is wild country, and from the snowfields and glaciers peering from behind giant rock faces, you can feel the proximity of the great Himalayan range itself. This is the terrain of the brown bear, the ibex, and the exotic mountain goats.
We are now just 20 kilometers up the Parvati Valley. Here the Malana River joins the Parvati. The Malana River starts from its source in the Malana Glacier, passing by and giving its name to the fabled Malana village. We are looking down upon the fabled village of Malana, ethnically a small city-state in itself. The absence of any motorable roads and the general precipitous nature of this terrain has left this valley completely unspoilt. The Dardic features of the people here and their exclusivist tribal laws has created many strange histories for this place. The story goes that one of Alexander's generals deserted with 40 of his soldiers and came and founded this village.
As legend has it, Jamlu Devta arrived in Malana riding a white stallion. Replicas are placed on the altar by the devout, whose prayers have been answered by the Devta.
In Malana, the cult of deified sages reigns supreme. Here, Jamadagni Rishi is all-powerful, and he speaks his wishes to the people through the oracle, who is known as the Gur. At present, there is no Gur here, the last one having died nearly 10 years ago. This is the seat of the village judiciary and executive. Disputes in the village are arbitrated here, and their decision is final. The ancient system of Panchayati Raj is practiced here till this very day. This part of the western Himalayas is a very high seismic zone. So you see, over the centuries, the local architecture has developed in a very special fashion. A modern house, when it's built with concrete, will resist the shock of an earthquake, and hence it can crack and fall down. This local house, what you see, is stones interspersed with entire beams of wood. In the corners of the house are no stones. It's only one log resting upon another. When an earthquake hits this kind of a house, the entire house moves with the earthquake, but it will never fall down.
Old traditions carry on through the work of people such as the village blacksmith, whose products range from drums to farming implements. From Malana we ascend to the Rashol Pass and its commanding views of the Parvati Basin before finally commencing the long descent to Manikaran.
35 kilometers up the Parvati Valley lies Manikaran. Manikaran literally means the jewel of the year. It is said that Parvati, the consort of Lord Shiva, lost a earring when she came to bathe in the waters of Manikaran. And hence, the village gets its name. Manikaran. Here various subterranean geothermal vents have broken through as hot springs. Manikaran is also a pilgrim place and a tourist attraction to boot.
Pilgrims come in large numbers to the famous Gurdwara at Manikaran.
The problems that have manifested themselves and made Badrinath and Garhwal an urban nightmare have also hit this idyllic spot, giving way to the usual ugly sprawl of cheap lodging houses and dharamshalas.
But Manikaran has a sword of Damocles perched on its head. The sheer faces of the gorge at this point cannot take much more of this pressure, as has already become evident through recurrent landslides which have taken a grim toll on life and property. In fact, random construction, deforestation and overgrazing have destabilized a large part of the lower Parvati Valley. This is Shat Nala, where flash floods killed nearly 40 people and destroyed houses, orchards and fields this summer.
Grazing on the higher slope and cultivation on the lower gradient must have kept pace with the receding forest cover. The trees survived only because they stood at higher altitude with forbidding rock walls guarding these forests. Most of the population of the Parvati lies in the main and the northern valleys. The other bank is comparatively undisturbed. It is to the south side that we must go to see an example of what the lower Himalayan forests must have been like not so very long ago. At Kasol, the Grand Nala meets up with the Parvati River. And it is in the side valleys of this Nala that we find one of the rarest forest types nowadays. An evergreen broadleaf forest, rich in species not encountered elsewhere in the entire Beas Valley. Up the Grand Nala, we come deep into the forest. Here coniferous trees, like the tall deodar, the giant kyle, and cheer, are interspersed quite regularly with broadleaf varieties like maples, chestnuts, and other smaller trees like the beautiful rhododendron. The forest floor abounds with shrubs which provide an excellent cover for game birds like the pheasants and jungle fowl. Other species of wildlife include the black bear, wild goats, barking deer, musk deer, and higher up the brown bear as well. Moist rocks in the forest are covered with various species of ivies and the vibrant Ficus sarmentosa. While within the forest, the prominent climbers are Hedera nepalensis and various species of Polygonum and Polysticum. The spring and early summer here is a paradise for wildflowers. Iris kumaurensis blooms on the forest floor. And these are known in the local language as shoti. The plant is used for making mats. We also find here an abundance of wild cane, which is used for making kiltas, the local baskets.
Grand Nala today is a protected place, the heart of the Kanawar sanctuary. Let us hope this pristine place does not go the same way as the rest of the valley.
Over the centuries, the hill folk have developed very scientific ways of farming. Here, two of the major crops, maize and beans, grow together. While maize takes all the nutrients out of the ground, the beans, a leguminous crop, fixes atmospheric nitrogen back into the ground, and the soil balance is maintained.
Another major problem afflicting most Himalayan areas where development has made inroads: dynamiting for fish. The horrible part is that though hundreds of fish get stunned or killed by the blast, only a few are retrieved from the fast-flowing waters. Sometimes none, as in this case where the dynamite got swept downstream. In the Parvati Valley, we come across numerous thaj, sheep resting places. This is par excellence graziers' country, and shepherds move about the high pastures during the summer months with their flocks. So far, the balance between man and nature has been preserved here. But this seems like a good time to discuss livestock grazing in the Himalayas and its effect on the environment and wildlife. It has now been recognized that migratory flocks of domestic animals play a very important role in the Himalayan ecosystems and have done so for centuries. Artificial attempts to restrict the entry of these animals have often had unlooked for complications, such as the famous Valley of Flowers in Garhwal, currently undergoing a polygonum invasion to the detriment of other more delicate Himalayan high-altitude species. On the other hand, overgrazing is a very real issue. Once grazing reaches the point where it begins to significantly alter the structure and composition of the vegetation, it becomes a threat not only to the wildlife and species diversity, but to every component of the ecosystem. Consequently, overgrazing is probably due to the concentration of flocks in already overburdened areas, indicating serious lacunae in the permit system that organizes grazing in the Western Himalayas. The next few years are critical for the Parvati, with a giant hydroelectric project on the drawing board. However, it remains to be seen how far will the requirements of hydroelectric development affect the ecosystem of Parvati Valley. These magnificent glens and ranges have to be protected from the din and fury of dynamite, bulldozers and earth movers, as also from the predatory poachers, timber thieves and contractors.